Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever had that sinking feeling where you're working incredibly hard, giving it everything you've got, but it just feels like it's not enough, like you're completely stuck? Well, today we are unpacking a truly moving and, honestly, super actionable story. We're looking at the journey of Thomas. He was a 32-year-old night security guard who felt completely trapped by poverty. But here's the amazing part. He managed to totally rewrite his life's trajectory in just 90 days. And no, he didn't win the lottery, he didn't get some magical handout. He used a very specific, disciplined framework that literally anyone can apply.
To really understand this, imagine standing in a rural village clinic right before dawn. Thomas's mother, who had been worn down by decades of brutal physical labor in the fields, had just collapsed. Completely exhausted, just entirely overwhelmed by stress. And from her hospital bed, she held his hand and told him, "Please, my son, do not waste your life like I wasted mine. Find a way." It was this massive emotional shock. The exact wake-up call Thomas needed to realize that just working harder wasn't the answer anymore. He had to work differently.
So that brings us to Section 1, Trapped in the Dark. To appreciate where he ended up, we really need to understand Thomas's rock bottom. At 32, he was working this grueling shift at a massive warehouse from 8 p.m. all the way to 6 a.m., barely surviving on a tiny salary. He lived in a single-room apartment, slept on a floor mattress under a flickering bulb with a fan that was completely broken. And the tragedy wasn't just the lack of money. It was that suffocating feeling of being trapped in a cycle he couldn't break, even though he was working so hard and walking 4 miles to work every single night.
And a huge part of that trap was his schedule. Because of those night shifts, Thomas would crash at 7 a.m. and sleep straight through to 4 p.m. He basically felt like he was living his entire life backwards. Every single morning, as he dragged himself home, exhausted, he literally watched the rest of the world through their windows. Families eating breakfast, people heading off to their offices. The whole world was moving forward, building their dreams, while he was just getting ready to sleep through the entire day.
Which takes us right back to that painful breaking point with his mom. After she finally fell asleep in that clinic, Thomas stepped outside into the cool, dark air. It was a freezing Tuesday morning in November, exactly 5 a.m. The village was totally quiet, just a few early farmers heading out. And standing right there in the dawn, feeling so angry at his own helplessness, he made a very concrete decision. He whispered to himself, "I will not live like this anymore." He promised he'd find a way out, absolutely no matter what it took.
Section 2, Meeting the Mentor. Now, fate has a funny way of stepping in, because on the 3-hour bus ride back to town, Thomas had a chance encounter. Sitting right across from him was a well-dressed guy in his 50s, just peacefully reading a book. Thomas actually recognized him. It was Mr. Chun, a really successful local businessman. But what completely threw Thomas off was the time. It was exactly 6 a.m. Why on earth is a wealthy, successful guy riding a regular bus at the crack of dawn? Well, Thomas gathered up his courage, asked him, and was introduced to a pretty radical concept.
Mr. Chun basically let him in on his secret. He explained that he wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every single day just to read, think, and plan. When he heard about Thomas's completely backward schedule, Mr. Chun didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "Listen, if you're awake when the world sleeps and asleep when the world works, no wonder you're stuck." And that is when he introduced Thomas to the concept of the magic hours. This is that super quiet, totally uninterrupted window between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. where you build the life you actually want while everyone else is literally still unconscious.
And the math behind this strategy? It is absolutely staggering. Mr. Chun broke it down like this. If you dedicate just 2 hours every morning to yourself, that's 14 hours a week, that's 60 hours a month, and that is a massive 730 hours a year. To put that into perspective, if you look at a standard 8-hour workday, 730 hours equals 91 full workdays. So just by waking up early, you are literally handing yourself 3 extra months of productive time every single year. Time that everyone else is just snoozing right through. All right, Section 3, the Magic Hours Blueprint. So Thomas is desperate to try this, right? But there's a huge logistical hurdle. His night shift doesn't even end until 6 a.m. So Mr. Chun tells him he has to fundamentally hack his sleep schedule. Thomas starts sleeping from 6:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. That's a solid 5 hours just to survive, but it allowed him to be awake during the actual day. It meant he could meet Mr. Chun at a cafe at 11 a.m., proving he was actually a man of action. And Mr. Chun was so impressed by this dedication that he handed Thomas a strict, completely non-negotiable blueprint. Because the crucial point here is exactly how you spend that morning time. You don't just wake up early to sit on the couch and scroll on your phone. Hour 1 is strictly for building skills that can actively change your financial situation. And the best part? It's completely accessible.
We're talking learning a language, a trade, or just using totally free YouTube tutorials to master new software. Then, hour 2 is dedicated to your body and mind. A 30-minute walk to literally keep your physical vehicle running, followed by reading and planning out your day. It's a highly systematic approach to building a rock-solid personal foundation.
Now, to survive this, Mr. Chun laid down 3 brutal, absolutely inflexible rules. First, zero negotiation. You wake up every single day, yes, even on weekends. Second, you have to be asleep by 9 p.m. You simply cannot cheat sleep if you want your brain to function. And third, he was totally upfront about this. The first week is going to be pure hell. Your mind is going to invent every excuse in the book. Suddenly that broken, noisy fan is going to sound like a soothing lullaby. But you just have to push through it.
Section 4. The 90-Day Transformation. Armed with this blueprint, Thomas dives headfirst into a 90-day challenge. He decided he'd spend his first hour learning accounting and Microsoft Excel, basically figuring, hey, every single business on Earth needs someone who understands data and money, right? So, keeping the vivid image of his mother in that hospital bed front and center in his mind, he dragged his exhausted, aching body out of bed at 5 a.m. every single morning in the pitch dark, just to watch those tutorials.
And seeing this transformation unfold across this 90-day timeline is just incredible. Day 1, exactly as predicted. Pure physical agony. But right around day 20, something clicked. His body naturally adapted. He actually started waking up 2 minutes before the alarm even went off. The Excel formula suddenly made perfect sense. By month 2, he'd earned 3 online certificates and even dropped some weight from his morning walks. And the big payoff? Day 87. After he built this amazing, revolutionary inventory spreadsheet for his warehouse, upper management finally noticed him. He was promoted to a day-shift office accounting job, and his salary literally doubled.
Fast forward just 12 months later, and you have to see this. The contrast is absolutely mind-blowing. Thomas didn't just get a new job. He became the company's lead accountant. He completely fundamentally rebuilt his family's reality. He actually saved up enough money to move his mother out of the village and into a really comfortable 2-bedroom apartment in town, securing the proper medical care she desperately needed. He completely changed his family tree just by reclaiming his mornings. But honestly, my absolute favorite detail of this whole story, even after achieving all of this wild success, Thomas still wakes up at 5 a.m. every single day. His coworkers are always asking him, "Thomas, why do you still do it? You've already made it." And his response just perfectly sums up his whole philosophy. He tells them success is not a destination, it is a daily practice. Those quiet morning hours are still his sacred time to learn, to read, and to plan. Which brings us to Section 5, your 5 a.m. challenge. Okay, time to take action. We are pivoting directly to you right now. Because Thomas's framework isn't just some inspiring feel-good story. It's an exact mathematical blueprint that you can apply today to escape wherever you might be feeling stuck in your own life. Think about it. The world between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. is silent. No notifications, no urgent emails, no distractions. Your willpower is fully charged. This is the exact moment you do the heavy lifting that changes your path.
So we are officially extending Mr. Chun's challenge to you for the next 90 days. Here is the playbook. Step 1. Set your alarm for exactly 5 a.m., but put it literally across the room so you physically have to stand up to turn it off. Step 2. Pick just one single skill, one certification, or one business idea to laser focus on during that first hour. And Step 3. Fiercely protect your 9 p.m. bedtime. Understand that getting enough sleep isn't a weakness, but staying up late to mindlessly doom scroll, that is definitely your enemy.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, absolutely vital question to chew on. What will you build in your first hour tomorrow? The gap between where you are right now and where you want to be isn't just about raw talent or getting lucky. It's about how you utilize the time that everyone else is just sleeping away. Remember, your future self is waiting for you, right on the other side of that alarm clock. Do not make them wait another day. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next explainer.